Okay, so this is going to be a video walking through some of the techniques, some of the approaches you can take in dealing with data modeling or kind of working with data on the back end in Power BI. All right, so a couple provisos up front here. I'm trying to do. There's if you as you look more and more at Power BI, you'll see that there's any number of different ways in which you can manipulate data. All right, and there's a fair amount of there's some easy ways to do it. There's some complex ways to do it. Pretty sophisticated ways to do it. But for our purposes and our what we're trying to do is we just want to we're just getting started here. So what I've done is I've actually taken Coyote's file, his weightlifting file, and I'm just going to do some pretty simple, some simple analysis on it that we could use to at least get started on developing our visualization approach. All right. So if we take a look, we have the data. So the thing about the data is it is actually a pretty. Let me kill these because I'm going to recreate them. All right. Okay, so this is the data right here. So there's 127,000 rows, 619 exactly. All right. So one of the things we're looking at here is, well, how do you begin? All right. So one thing, this is in this case, what we're looking at is recordings, detailed recordings of different the results of different types of weight lifting exercises. All right. So we have a squat, we have a bench, we have a deadlift, and then we have a total. All right. And this is broken out by country, by age, by equipment, and also by gender. All right. So there's a couple different ways, we can approach some of this stuff. So one thought we would have maybe up front would be, do we want to separate, doing an analysis of men versus women? All right. Because the idea is obviously there's different physical characteristics, their numbers, what kind of the results we're going to see are going to be, they're going to be different. And if we cross them over, the question will be, well, is one, to what degree was one influencing the other? So the first order of business is from a thought perspective is let's split this data into two separate files. Remember, when one thing we had said is what we want to do is keep our original data in place. All right. So if I have a data file out here, right, what I want to do is I don't want to necessarily manipulate that file. I want to make copies of things and then work with the copies. So if I have to go back, I can go back and I can trace back, and if we need to do some sort of auditing as we're going through the analysis, we have the original data there and we can follow through the steps. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create. Go to Home. And go to our model. Actually, we'll go to we're going to do our transform data. All right. So there's a couple different ways to do this. There's a bunch of ways we can do this stuff using queries to be able to do selects and extracts and things like that. We're going to use a really brute force way of doing it right now. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take this table and I'm going to go to manage and I'm going to create a new table. I'm going to duplicate it. All right. And what it will do is it will simply create a new version of the table with a new name, the two. I'm going to rename this table. All right. So, and what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call this first table Open Powerlifting Men. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this table and I'm going to duplicate that. And we're going to call this one women. Now, I haven't done anything to the data yet. All right, so all I did was I just simply created 2 new files from my original master file. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to filter out all of the data that I don't want. So in this case, I'm going to go to the men, and what I can do is I can apply a filter on the gender or the sex and only select the men. I'll do an OK. All right. Now I have so now the only records we have in this table are the men's powerlifting. All right, and we will do the same thing on the women. So select all, and I'm going to do the women. All right. So I've got 2. So what I can do is for my analysis, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating 2 different sets of analysis. Basically bracketed by men by the gender. So we'll have analysis of the men and analysis of the women. Leave everything else the same for our purposes. All right, and you'll see as in our select here, the select is updated with the men and women settings. All right, now if I come back up here, if I do my apply and close, I now have created the 3 tables that I need. All right. So if we look at this, nope, men's and women. Okay, 91,000 for the men. Oop, I don't think that's right. All right, I'll have to go back and look at this. Oh, because I did that wrong. I didn't filter. I did not apply the filter correctly. All right, so what we'll do is let's clobber this table. And as you can see, we can easily come back in and just recreate the file. All right, but we have the original we can go back to. If we had the original data and we had manipulated it and deleted it, then we'd have to go back and bring it back from the source. All right, so I'm going to make this, do a rename. And what we'll do is we'll change our filter and select all. That will be women. All right. Now if I apply this, what we'll see is I have for my total, which is 127,619, I have 91,000 men records, as well as 36,000 women's records. All right, and we can do separate analysis on each one Can be some, similar analysis, but we can kind of use each one, kind of bracket each one. All right. So now what I can do with this is, so now when I have this, we'll play a little bit with the men's stuff. So something we might want to do, so one type of analysis, really simple analysis, would be highs and lows. What's the largest, versus the smallest? So there's as you think, we're interested in, there's three things. We're interested in kind of the overall characteristics, the average, the mean, all right? And then we're also interested in the highs and the lows. What's the highest? What's the lowest? And we have a fair amount of data to work with here. So we actually have, as we look at this, we have different characterizations. So we have the best 3 squat, the best 3 kilogram bench, best 3 deadlift, and then total deadlift. All right. So what we'll do maybe is a starting analysis to do just get some basic stuff. We'll create, what we'll do is let's spin up a couple tables here. So I'm going to create, we'll use the men's table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform the data. And what I'll do is I'm going to create 3 tables out of this. All right, let's go to this. And what I will do is I will duplicate and I will duplicate and I will duplicate and I'll do one more duplicate, because what I'm going to do is we'll do each of the different measurements we have here. All right, so I've got total weightlifting, best 3, best 3 bench, best 3 deadlift, best 3 squat. Okay, and what I can do is, we'll just rename these. All right, so I'll just rename each one. Powerlifting, I'll say let's do this. Say best 3 squat is the first one. All right, and then we'll do, for this one here, we'll make the second one. Second one's going to be bench. Screw men. Okay, then we'll rename this one to be, third one is going to be, hang on, bench deadlift. Let's do deadlift, and then finally we'll do total. So let me get this last one here. I'll rename this one here. All right, and we'll call this one total. Total lift men. All right. Now I haven't done anything. All I've done is I've just simply renamed the files. All right. But what I have here, I'm starting to build out a little bit more sophisticated data model. We took our original 127,000s, split it between men and women. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another set of data, reduced set of data, looking for, and what we'll do is we'll call these are going to be the top 10. All right. So the criteria will be, this will be the top 10. So to get the top 10, because we have 90,000 rows here, the top 10 is simply a matter of, for the squat, is we'll sort it. All right. And we'll sort it descending. All right. So these are going to be our top within this particular category here. All right. So what I'll do now is we'll take away the rows I don't need. So what I want to do is I want to only keep the top 10. All right. And then what I want to do is I'll get rid of these. We don't need, we're going to have these in other ones, so we'll just take these out. All right. So I'll remove the column. And then remove another column. And remove my total. Okay. So what I have now is the top 10, with the ages, with the actual weights, and the countries. So USA, a lot of USA. All right. Now, the one thing about the USA, one thing to remember is that if we look at the data, we have more records for the US than we have for other countries. All right. So that's going to be, so the numbers, so part of the stuff we'll kind of take into consideration is that, we have a lot more records of one type than the others. All right. So this is just simply a real simple, the top 10. These are the actual gross. This is what we've, the gross weight. All right. So that was our squat. Was it? No, that was our total lift. All right. I think I hosed that up. All right. Well, what I can do is, I will, for this case, we will actually, what I want to do is let's do this. I want to take this off. I'm going to clear my sort. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do my total. All right. So I'm going to sort descending. So my highest numbers will be first. Okay. And then what I will do is, that's our top 10. We will reduce the rows. And actually, at the end, what I'll do is I'm just going to rename the total and the best 3. So we'll have that. That's my total. Okay, so this is my total. So actually what I have to do is I'm going to rename this table to be call total men. Total if men 1, and then we'll call this one. We'll rename this one back. So I'm in the same, basically I have the same thing. So we'll do S3. Okay. So as we can see, my best 3 squat. So these are my numbers. So what I'm able to do very simply is I can very simply by creating a table, sorting it, reducing it down, we can get at least a first cut. We can identify our top data. All right. It's not the end point. This is just to kind of get started with our analysis. All right. And that we can do the same thing with these two here. All right. With men. All right. So the idea is what we'll do is at the outset, we will create create this first set, and then we can come back in and take our men's data, and then we can do an aggregation. All right. So we'll kind of digest this, and what I'll do is I'm going to come back, play around with taking the data we've created in this model, and then doing an aggregation of the numbers of different types around averages, and kind of see how that will turn out. All right, so that is about it for we'll wrap this one up here now. All right. So what I'll do is I'm going to apply. I'm going to close and apply. Okay. And you'll see it's actually building. Right, building that, and then what I will do then I will also save it, so I'll have it. So you can do is you can work on it piece by piece. So what you can do is do some analysis of kind of reducing the just doing some basic reductions, and then circle back around and take a look at some other ways we can do some of the calculations. Okay, and we'll wrap it up here. All right. Thank you.